So the Middle Ages. I like the Middle Ages. Reminds me of Game of Thrones. Reminds me of knights, chivalry. But I don't know all that much about it. That's why we're here. So in the Middle Ages, it's a period of the history of Europe. In the history of Europe, rather. The Middle Ages or medieval period lasted approximately from the 5th to the late 15th century. So that's the 400s to the 1400s, right? Yeah, 400s to 1400s. Similarly to the post-classical period of global history. So I don't know what that means. Don't know what they mean by post-classical. Not sure. Got it. So there's something called the post-classical period, which is in global history. Okay. So when we're talking about Middle Ages, it's Europe. If you're thinking about global, like the global history of humankind, then it would be called the post-classical period. Gotcha. So it began with the fall of the Western Roman Empire and transitioned into the Renaissance and the Age of Discovery. Two really cool things that I don't know if I've clicked into. Adding them to the never-ending gigabytes upon gigabytes long reading list. The Middle Ages is the middle period of the three traditional divisions of Western history. Very cool. So we got classical antiquity, which, if you haven't checked out the playlist, check it out. It's growing slowly. I'm learning. So classical antiquity. We have the medieval period, which I think is this one. This is the medieval. Yeah, there we go. Medieval. It's kind of like AKA. And then we have the modern period. So I also have a playlist that's running about the modern period, so you can check that out as well, plugging in my own episodes selflessly. That's how I roll. The medieval period is itself subdivided into early, high, and late Middle Ages. I did not know that. So we have the early, the high, and the late. Let's take a look at some pics. So this is going to be a medieval stained glass panel from the Canterbury Cathedral depicting the parable of the sower. Don't even know what that is, but let's click in. Let's get rid of the magnification. By the way, is the magnification cool? You guys like that, or is it annoying? And just confusing? Anyways, let's click in. Okay, more details than I thought. You can see the guy's beard. And this is quite a weird style. I mean, I don't even know, but it's made out of glass, so it's not a painting. But it is this weird kind of, it's kind of dark. It's grim. Even the face of the guy is it's grim. Yeah. Anywho, let's keep reading. So, population decline, counter-urbanization, the collapse of centralized authority, invasions, and mass migrations of tribes, which had begun in late antiquity. So if we're thinking, I guess, of classical, of the what do we call it? Classical antiquity. I'm assuming when they say late antiquity, they mean to say at the end of antiquity. Hold on, forgot to zoom. So yeah, sorry, I'm losing my thread here. So let's just keep reading. So the large-scale movements of the migration period. What is that? Never heard of that. Okay, another one. Including various Germanic peoples, formed new kingdoms in what remained of the Western Roman Empire. So there's something called the migration period, and there's these Germanic peoples, which I'm assuming right now are people that like lived in the areas of like modern day Germany and maybe like that part of Europe. So they formed new kingdoms in what remained of the Western Roman Empire. So in the 7th century, North Africa in the Middle East, once part of the Byzantine Empire, came under the control of the Umayyad Caliphates. What in the world is Umayyad Caliphate? I don't even know. But that's something that happens, it seems like in the 7th century. So I think we talked about this in the like history run. I'm starting to remember here. So the Umayyad Caliphate, I think, so Muhammad comes around in like the 7th century, and then he essentially creates Islam. Islam manages to not galvanize, I don't know if that's the right word. It manages to unite different tribes, and they create quite a force, quite a host, and they conquer much of North Africa. And that's what it says right here. And I think they also conquer the Persians. But let's keep reading. So, in the 7th century, North Africa, once part of the Byzantine, came under the rule of the Umayyad Caliphate, an Islamic empire, after the conquest by Muhammad's successors. Although there were substantial changes in society and political structures, the break with classical antiquity was incomplete. The still sizable Byzantine Empire, Rome's direct continuation, survived in the eastern Mediterranean and remained a major power. The empire's law code, the Corpus Juris Civilis, or Code of Justinian, was rediscovered in northern Italy in the 11th century. In the West, most kingdoms incorporated the few extant, what does that mean? Roman institutions, extant. Still in existence. So whatever institutions of Rome existed, the kingdoms incorporated them. Monasteries were founded as campaigns to Christianize the remaining pagans across Europe continued. So there's a lot of Christianizing going on at this period. The Franks, under the Carolingian dynasty, briefly established the Carolingian Empire during the late 8th and early 9th centuries. It covered much of Western Europe, but later succumbed to the pressure of internal civil wars combined with external invasions. Vikings from the north, Magyars. What the hell are Magyars? I've never heard of that in my life. Okay. From the east, and Saracens? Again, I'm sorry, folks, but my mind's being constantly blown by newly invented words, it seems to me. Anyways, so let's keep going. During the High Middle Ages, which began after 1000, the population of Europe increased significantly. We're in the High Middle Ages. By the way, they didn't really clearly delineate when high starts and middle and early. It's not clear to me. But anyways, during the High Middle Ages, which began after 1000, so that'll be the 11th century, the population of Europe increased significantly as technology and agricultural innovations allowed trade to flourish. In the medieval warm period, which is highlighted in its own thing entirely, the medieval warm period climate change allowed crop yields to increase. Manoralism, the organization of peasants into villages that owed rent and labor services to the nobles. Okay, lots to unpack there. And feudalism, the political structure whereby knights and lower status nobles owed military service to their overlords in return for the right to rent from lands and manors, were two ways society was organized in the High Middle Ages. So let's break it down a little bit. Minoralism is a type of organization where there are peasants that owed rent to the nobles, and feudalism is a political so it's a political structure where knights and lower status nobles owed their services to the overlords. Okay, let's keep going. This period also saw the collapse of the unified Christian church. Okay, I remember this from the history, like when we were moving through history. So with the East-West Schism, I think this creates, if I remember correctly, like the Eastern Orthodoxy and the Western Catholicism or something like that, I think. Yeah, I was kind of right. Okay, so that happens in the 11th century as well. The Crusades. First preached in 1095. Okay, so this is a big thing. We're hitting on a big one. That's something I've heard about, and I need to read about this. So the Crusades, I'm just for the sake of my brain, I'm gonna close the magnification for this one. Sorry, folks, just annoying because it keeps moving my window, and it's hard for me to read because I'm not sometimes always reading from the magnified part. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna sorry, folks, for putting you through this, but I'm gonna actually try one more time. Give it one more thing. See if it works. So, where are we? Let's take it from here. So, kings became the heads of centralized nation states, reducing crime. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it because even if I'm looking at the magnified portion, I don't see the thing that pops up. So I'm gonna stop doing that. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. Keep moving forward. All right. So, the Crusades, first preached in 1095, were military attempts by Western European Christians to regain control of the Holy Land from Muslims. Gotcha. They want to regain, right? Because we've established that in the 7th century, the Muslim, in particular the Umayyad Caliphate, has taken control of northern Africa and the Persian Empire. So the Western European Christians want to regain control, and I wonder if the Eastern Orthodox Christians are going to contribute to it. I don't know, but it seems to me like the Western ones are. So this is that's just something to think about. So kings became the heads of centralized nation states. Boom. This is huge. Nation state. Reducing crime and violence by making the ideal of a unified Christendom more distant. So they're reducing crime, but they're making this ideal of unified Christendom more distant, because I don't know why. I don't really understand. Intellectual life was marked by scholasticism, a philosophy that emphasizes joining faith to reason, and by founding universities. The theology of Thomas Aquinas. Okay, never heard of him. The paintings of Giotto. Hopefully I'm saying that right. The poetry of Dante. I feel like he wrote that book Inferno. Or Divine Comedy? I don't know. And Chaucer. The travels of Marco Polo. And the Gothic architecture of cathedrals such as Chartres, never heard of it, are among the outstanding achievements toward the end of this period and into the late Middle Ages.